Hello nerds, this is the second part, so go ahead and go to part 1 so you can leave a dislike there first. Before we get started, I just wanted to point out that I forgot to include that the biggest difference between the anime and manga is that tall pink Mario has a fucking mouth. When we last saw our neglected Nepo baby protagonists, everyone that wasn't a jobber got a card that makes almost everything free and legal because the people with superpowers were amused that they survived an endless onslaught of pointless nonsense. If you've ever played a tabletop game with the D&D style alignment system, the Hunter Association is basically what would happen if you gave massive executive power to those dudes that are douchebags to other players and friendly NPCs, then constantly assert it's because their character is chaotic neutral, even though most of their actions are premeditated, and conventionally evil. After Killua essentially gets no consequences for murdering a senior citizen, he goes home to his edgelord family. Gon suspects that Killua was forced to not be a homeless orphan that travels around with his green animal kid friend, so he's determined to go to Killua's house and force his family to let Killua be his buddy. Gon learns the amazing power of shitty 90s era internet from Pakal. What a nice guy that Pakal is. His weird hat made him stand out just enough to escape the jobber death sentence, and he seems like the type of guy that loves cats. That's probably why he managed to get a girlfriend who also has a weird hat and whose food-based name isn't ominous at all. In the manga there's a weird amount of exposition on how the internet works and all the information is from the old fuck era that I was born in, so it's pretty antiquated. They make a point to call looking something up on the internet as surfing, which is a word no one uses anymore, and is also wrong. Surfing the web is when you go from web page to web page using hyperlinks, that's why they use the term surfing. There's a lack of a specific destination. Old man Togashi thought he was hip and happening my dude, but he was actually just trippin'. This is truncated in the 99 anime and completely absent in the 2011 adaptation, both of which remove Pakal and have Crap Pika and Lei Aria explain the internet instead. Sorry Pakal, looks like they really cut you out of those scenes. Oh well, that's probably the worst thing that happens to him since he's not important enough to appear again. The trip to, wait, is that Africa? And the Hunter exam took place in fake South America apparently. In the manga there's just a few panels of them flying there on an airship, then 2 panels of them on a train, and then they take a tour bus for the final stretch, but in 2011 there's this completely pointless scene where Gon jumps out of a car in the middle of traffic and just runs alongside the road, and in 99 they spend a weird amount of time lingering on the train and then waste even more time establishing that the tour guide's name is Coco. When they get there, anime Squidward and his bear roommate decide they're going to take down the legendary assassin family. They think the Zoldicks are faking it, despite the fact that they own a fucking mountain and the entire forest surrounding it with an enormous wall enclosing their estate. Okay, let's say the Zoldicks were frauds, what then? If they were that wealthy, don't you think they just have armed guards or something? Some very strange logic coming from these level 1 thugs. In 2011 Squidward has the fat ass sword from Berserk, in 99 they have dynamite, but in the manga this dude rolls up thinking he's gonna take them down with a cricket bat. They get eaten by some monster on the other side and it dumps their skeletons back through the door. You can see it bit a hole in each of their skulls to eat their brains too, yum yum. I find it pretty amusing how sometimes Togashi makes intricate, heavily detailed scenes and other times he just sort of scribbles on the page. Not to sound disparaging, the fact that he can convey a scene with so little information actually present is impressive. The old guard that works at the entrance throws the dead bodies in a trash can and tells Gon he can't go in. Gon says he'll climb over the wall if he doesn't let him in, so the guard shows them that they have to get in by being strong enough to open the gate. Lei Aria is too much of a scrub to open the gate, so the guard reveals his hidden technique, steroids. With the power of performance-enhancing drugs he manages to open the arbitrarily heavy gate. The monster isn't supposed to attack you if you go through the weighted gates, that's Mike's standing order, ha 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 Mike. I watched the anime before I read the manga, so I know it's pronounced Mike, but seeing it just spelled as Mike is kind of funny. Oh boy, better not go in there, Mike will bite your ear off. The gates get progressively heavier, each one being twice as heavy as the last one. The first gates are 2 tons each for a total of 4 tons, Killua is so fucking cool that he opened the 3rd gate. Meaning even without the in-universe magic powers he can push with 16 tons of force. I wonder if the literal gates here were an inspiration for the inner gates in Naruto, since both of these arcs are where weighted training is introduced to the story, and up until now Kishimoto has been taking a lot of inspiration from Hunter x Hunter. In 99 Gon pops a squat and decides he's going to sit on the ground until the guard helps him. And then he gets attacked by a wolf, but the wolf is actually his friend because he's an animal boy. If this seems stupid and pointless, that's because it's just there to very heavy-handedly remind us that Gon is good with animals to make a point of how special Mike is. The guard tries to call the butlers to let Gon and friends in, but they tell him to fuck off because he's a jobber. In the manga and in 99 the phone the guard uses is an old wired phone, but in the 2011 anime it's an even older rotary phone, except Gon presses the number slots like they're fucking buttons, so maybe it isn't a rotary phone and it just looks like that for giggles. The butlers hang up on him, so he calls them back and screams like a Karen. When this inevitably doesn't work, he goes outside and starts trying to climb the wall. The old man doesn't want him to die, so he decides to open the gate for them. Mike rushes to them, and I've gotta say, that is one creepy ass dog. Looks like one of those freaky borzoi things. Now that they're in, the guard leads them to the servant house where everything is somehow super heavy. In the manga they just time skip 10 days forward right to being able to open the door, but in 2011 there's like an episode and a half of Lei Aria and Crap Pika grunting while pushing on the door, and in 99 there's a Karate Kid sequence of them cleaning the servants' quarters as training, then Lei Aria accidentally breaks the decoy door and falls through it. Gon ends up getting chased by Mike while trying to distract it so it doesn't murder Lei Aria. He gets saved by Kaluto, which makes no fucking sense. In 2011 all three of them have to work together to open the first door, but in the manga and in 99 all of them can open the first door on their own and Lei Aria is able to open the second door. I guess Lei Aria is stronger just because he's the biggest? This seems weird to me because up until now Lei Aria seemed to be by far the weakest of the three. Also, how the fuck do these doors work? If 4 tons of force is enough to open the first doors, then wouldn't they open before you could apply enough force to open the upper doors? Does the door check how hard you're pushing before opening? In all versions Killua is shown pushing the doors from the seam, so it isn't that you simply push on the outer door you're trying to open. The doors just know somehow. I assume the doors are also connected despite not being connected, since it seems to be implied you can't just open one door on either side. Once they all get in for realies, they come across a girl who's training to be a butler. In the past a small army of grubby bandits made it in and she murdered all of them, except for a cigarette dude that both animes decided to give way too much screen time. In 99, they tried really hard to whitewash Canary, even though it's pretty clear she's supposed to be black. She says they can't go through, but Gon tries anyway and she clogs him in the face with her weird scepter thing, which makes a hilarious cartoon womp sound in the 99 version. In 2011 and in the manga Gon just keeps trying to walk past her and she eventually starts feeling bad about bludgeoning a small child to death and tries to ask Lei Aria and Kurapika to stop him, but they're like nah, we're just gonna watch. In 99 they all attempt to fight her and get smacked around before Gon appeals to pathos. It's eventually revealed she's friends with Killua and she starts to ask Gon to help him, before getting knocked out by Killua's Victorian Cyber Cyclops mom. Gon argues with her a bit, and she doesn't just kill them because that would be inconvenient for the plot. We then cut to white-haired baby edgelord. In 2011 Killua has a flashback to meeting Canary and they have some terribly written dialogue followed by a decent fight scene where Canary kills bandits, then Killua's mom and cross-dressing little brother visit him while he's getting tortured, but in the manga his big brother, Kim Jong-un, does the BDSM sesh all by himself. Killua's grandpappy sets him free and tells him his dad wants to see him. The interaction with Silva is interesting. He asks Killua to describe his time at the hunter exam, listens intently, seeming to enjoy the story, then has Killua make a blood pact to never betray his friends. However, when Killua leaves he makes an ominous statement about Killua being his son, implying that he let him go because he's confident Killua can't overcome his nature. It seems like Silva's pact may have been a manipulation tactic, perhaps to show that even when sworn by oath Killua will still give in to impulse. While waiting for Killua to show up the butler subject Gon and the gang to a guessing game for their lives. A butler named Gota tosses a coin into the air and catches it with a flourish, the movements becoming faster and more complex with each round, and they have to guess which hand the coin ends up in. If they guess wrong they die and if they take too long to guess the butlers say they're going to kill Canary. Gon has to bloodlet his swollen eye from being tenderized by Canary in order to see with both eyes. Gon wins, Killua shows up and they leave. Zoldyck family arc over. Most of the Zoldyck arc is mid. It's not terrible, but not particularly compelling. No new dynamics are introduced to the world, just some arbitrary challenges interrupting a foregone conclusion. The gates have a cool design, but the weight training gimmick was executed better in Dragon Ball and Naruto. In these shows it was used as a mid-fight power-up that was revealing of the character's true potential, while here it was more of a MacGuffin to write off the characters getting strong enough to push the gates open with uninteresting training. Canary only exists to humanize Killua, to build up the power of the real butlers which never really paid off, and to make another showcase of Gon's stubborn resolve. Silva's design and presence are great, the juxtaposition in attitude toward Killua's free will when compared to the other Zoldycks is a nice diversion from expectation, and the coin game was decent, but overall you could probably skip this arc and not miss much from the story of Hunter x Hunter. The Sasuke retrieval arc from Naruto was probably somewhat inspired by the basic structure of this arc, but executes the concept with much more drama, higher stakes, and significantly more organized and compelling conflicts. This arc is also more or less the point of divergence for Kishimoto taking inspiration from Hunter x Hunter, as far as I can tell, aside from the elemental interaction diagram being similar to the infinity diagram, the stories of Hunter x Hunter and Naruto become very different from this point onward. Next time I'll be covering Heaven's Arena, which means we're finally sinking our teeth into the magic system of this world. How did we get this far with no magic? I'm not sure, especially since a lot of characters already have super strength. Nen is a relatively later development in Hunter x Hunter compared to the magic systems in other manga. I don't believe Togashi had this up his sleeve from the beginning, but rather pulled it out of his ass as the story developed. But oh boy, never has there been a finer diamond retrieved from an ass pull. Nen is rightfully often regarded as being one of the best magic systems in fiction, or if you don't want to go that far, it's at the very least one of the best in Shonen. We'll only be getting a taste of it in the next arc, but it does have a fairly strong introduction. Bye, bitches. Like most great manga, Hunter x Hunter stole a bunch of concepts from the popular manga that came before, and for Togashi that manga was Dragon Ball, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and probably some others too, but the inspiration from Dragon Ball is pretty obvious. Every big shonen for the past 40 years has taken a lot of inspiration from Toriyama's work, and you've got to sprinkle some respect on the granddaddy of all the melodramatic violent cartoons we all love so dearly. To put things into perspective, without Dragon Ball there would be no Yu Yu Hakusho, which means no Hunter x Hunter, which means no Naruto because Naruto stole a bunch of stuff from Hunter x Hunter, which means no Jujutsu Kaisen because they stole the main character's designs from Naruto, which means no Chainsaw Man because he literally just made the same story as Jujutsu Kaisen but with better art and characters. And that's just one string of Shonen. Bleach and One Piece also took a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball, so you have all the shows they inspired too. It's not that uncommon for Japanese people to live past 90, they do have the highest life expectancy after all, so even though Toriyama was fairly old, I think a lot of us thought he'd be around for a while longer. I don't normally get sentimental over people I don't know, but thanks for the great story Toriyama, it meant a lot to a lot of people, me included. Rest in peace.